This is the Class 807, the newest member of Britain's most hated fleet of high-speed trains. With the previous version of the train known for its rock-hard seats, terrible build quality, and a horrible onboard atmosphere, I was curious to check out what these brand new trains were gonna be like. So join me as we explore the greatly updated interior on these new trains on a journey from Liverpool to London, and find out if Britain's worst ever high-speed train can be fixed. Our journey begins from Liverpool's Lime Street station. Having opened all the way back in 1836, this is the world's oldest still operating Grand Mainline terminus station. Today, the station is still a major transportation hub with trains leaving to all sorts of destinations. With Northern providing many local and regional services, and London North Western Railway operating an interregional style service to Birmingham. With TransPennine Express also providing many longer distance regional and intercity style services across the north of England and up to Scotland. Below ground you will also find Merseyrail, the city's electrified suburban railway network. I will always be impressed that structures like this was able to be built back in the 1800s. And some 200 years later, with a bit of regular maintenance, we still have a fully functional station with plenty of amenities. Speaking of amenities, as our train to London isn't due to depart for another 40 minutes, we can make a quick visit to the Avanti First Class Lounge. Access is via my first class ticket, and the lounge offers a great place to relax or get a bit of work done before getting on the train. There's also a small self-service counter offering a good selection of drinks, smaller snacks, pastries and other light bites. However, as I'm a huge train nerd, it's back onto the platform to watch our train arrive. And here she comes, our Class 807 Evero, freshly inbound from Edge Hill Depot after staying there overnight. The Class 807 is a fully electric multiple unit with 7 carriages. Entering service towards the end of 2024, they are built by Hitachi and part of the troubled 800 series of trains for the United Kingdom. They are capable of 125 miles per hour, and I personally think they look great in the Avanti West Coast livery. First class is found today at the front of the train. The train's external screens makes it easy to locate your carriage and make sure you're getting on the right train. Right, let's head on board. As I didn't have a seat reservation, I grabbed this available solo seat by the window. We depart Liverpool Lime Street right on time at 8:43. And as we're heading straight into the Edge Hill tunnels, it's time to take a look at the route map for today's journey. Our 8:43 service leaves Liverpool, only making stops at Runcorn, Crewe, Milton, Keynes Central before arriving in London Euston. This is a distance of 193 miles covered in 2 hours and 20 minutes, giving the train an average speed of 82 miles per hour. We emerge from the tunnel at Edge Hill Station, and then make a very sharp right-hand turn here past Edge Hill Depot. This is where Avanti maintain and prepare their trains here in Liverpool, and is also where our service came from this morning. Afterwards, the first class attendant came around and offered a complimentary drink, as well as took our meal orders. Unfortunately, most of the food options this morning were unavailable. Apparently, there had been some disruption last night that meant they didn't get enough time to load the train with all the food options. But complimentary food service in first class in the rest of Europe is increasingly rare, so it's great to see many long-distance rail companies in Britain keep this around.
We will shortly be arriving at Runcorn.
Some 15 minutes after departure from Liverpool, we crossed the Runcorn Railway Bridge, which opened in 1868, taking us over the River Mersey and into our first station stop. And shortly after, we are off again. As my breakfast is still being prepared, let's instead take a look at the seat. This is an upgraded version of the Fisaline seat, commonly found on regional trains in Italy. And first I thought they had forgot to install the recline button. But turns out this is actually not just part of the plastic frame, but it is the recline lever that will slide the seat base slightly forward. As for the rest of the seat, it has all the amenities you'd expect, including a very large table, great for working on, and also has wireless charging. If you want cable charging, the plug is found under the armrest, hidden well away here, along with a USB port. The seat also features a coat hook, as well as a movable armrest with slight padding. Legroom is also restricted by both the bars supporting the seat in front as well as the table. But while the seat has all the amenities you'd expect, the actual seat is not uncomfortable, but the padding is very limited and overall it just doesn't feel very premium. I can't say I was impressed. But the biggest problem with these trains were never the first class seats, but rather the standard seating. And that has gone through major changes, which we will have a look at a little later. As we are now coming into our stop at Crewe, one of Britain's most important railway stations. The station is tied with Doncaster for the stations served by the most different train operating companies, with 7 different companies regularly calling here. On departure from Crewe, make sure to look out of the window on the right hand side of the driving direction heading south. As 2 big players in British heritage train preservation are based in Crewe and often have plenty of their trains parked around the station. But if you prefer modern day trains, switch to the left hand side, as here you have the Arriva Train Care Depot, preserving current day trains. One thing these trains are great at is acceleration, and despite not featuring a tilting system like the Pendolino trains Avanti also use, making them often restricted to 110 miles per hour where the Pendolino are permitted 125, they are pretty much able to keep the same journey times as the Pendolino trains thanks to their better acceleration and a few minor infrastructure upgrades. And just a bit south of Crewe, my complimentary breakfast was served. And with not many options being available, I just went for the bacon sandwich. And I will note it was served on proper plates with metal cutlery, which unlike the seat makes it feel very first class. The sandwich was also pretty okay, it was exactly as you'd expect, tasted fine but nothing to write home about. And now, as we are speeding down the West Coast Main Line, it's time to go check out the part of the train that needed upgrades the most, standard class. So it's time for a wander around the train. By the doors in first class you will find a luggage rack, but there are also racks above the seats. First class comes, as you'd expect, in a 1+2 layout. It also features 1 wheelchair space. Continuing down the train, we go past the accessible toilet and into the next carriage, which features standard premium. This is exactly the same seats as in first class and the same layout, the only difference is there's no complimentary service in here. But it's often sold considerably cheaper and can be a good way to get a solo seat you won't find in standard. But here's the biggest improvement, standard class, where they have finally gotten rid of the horrible seats you'd find on LNER and GWR. So let's check them out. And I'm pleased to say they are much improved, finally featuring a proper large tray table with a reading light. There's 1 electrical outlet per 2 seats, ample legroom, And most importantly of all, a nice winged headrest with a good amount of padding in an ergonomic shape. Much better. Modern, clean and clear information displays have also been fitted throughout the train, greatly improving the passenger experience. However, they still retain these weird bike storage cabinets that I've literally never seen on any other train, with some of these cabinets also dedicated for luggage storage. Next to it is where you'll find the toilet. This was in good working order, with everything fully functional. However, the sink seems a bit small, with water quite easily spilling onto the floor. But as everything was clean and in working order, I'll give it a thumbs up. Further down the train is also where you'll find the onboard cafe, which I didn't get good footage of, so here's a picture instead. It even features a free water refilling point. However, while big improvements has been made, window alignment still isn't great, and the train's lighting is still very bright, giving the train a very cold, clinical and utilitarian feel, unfortunately. Luckily, it's a bright and sunny day outside, so that somewhat tames this issue. We are now coming up on our penultimate stop, Milton Keynes Central. Because we had to run a bit slower today due to some temporary speed restrictions and track works, we have picked up a small delay on arrival here. In the end, we depart running 5 minutes behind schedule at 10:32. And as we quickly get back up to speed, the first class attendant came around and took any final drink orders before our arrival into London. I ordered a coffee so I could show you the last issue with these trains, and that is the ride quality ranges from poor to awful, with the train often bouncing all over the place. So I guess as we approach London, I should sum up my thoughts on these new trains. Overall, it's not all bad. I think generally Avanti has managed to fit a good seat in second class, and while the first class seats are a bit underwhelming, overall they are fine for a 2-hour-ish journey. But combine this with the poor ride quality, overly bright lighting and cheap clinical feel, I can't exactly say I love this train either. Overall, it's for sure a huge improvement, especially in second class over the GWR and LNER trains, which I actively try to avoid and probably would question my life choices if I ever had to spend time in their second class seats again. But with the Avanti ones, the overall experience, while not great, isn't terrible either, which I guess is all they were going for.
We will shortly be arriving at London Euston, where we finish our journey.
And as we're pulling into Euston, let's talk about tickets. The cheapest ticket I could find in first class for this train in particular was a ridiculous £155, which is absolutely not worth the money. And honestly, I don't think I'd ever pay for first class on this train, as I don't think the seats are much better and I can get a lot of bacon sandwiches and coffees for the price difference. We pull in to London Euston Station at 11:05, running 2 minutes behind schedule. So, what do you think about the Class 800 family of trains, and have you tried these new Avanti ones? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, as I try to post a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Blue Sky at intercitysimon.com. I usually post live from my travels over there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming on the channel in the future. Thanks for watching.